All right, let's look at section 4.2, collaboration, collaborative writing. That means working as a team and multiple people writing one project. Now, we're not going to actually have you do a teamwork thing. A, because it's part of, we're in the quarantine right now, and B, because this lesson isn't an essay anymore. It's been changed to a test. So now we just have to worry about parts of the collaboration process. So let's look at types of collaboration. You've got one-on-one, so that's just two people working together. Individual works with a partner to compose a document. One-on-one collaboration can also take place when you provide your own writing to someone else for comments and critiques. This can be called peer reviewing or peer editing. That's a very good process. A lot of times, if you hand it off to someone in your class and let them edit it, they'll catch a lot of stuff, and just their questions, or they'll go like, "Wait, what do you mean by this?" Or, "I don't understand why you did that." Like, we'll help you clean up your writing before you even give it to the teacher, let alone turn it in. You've got group, more than two writers, so three or more. More than two writers work together to compose a complete document. Group collaborations for school projects usually require each member of the group to contribute to the project equally. However, group collaboration in professional settings have varying levels of involvement. So in that, when you're in a group, you have to find a balance between taking over the group and doing it all yourself, or sitting back and doing absolutely nothing. You don't want to do either one of those. You want to do something in between. You can lead. You can become one of the leaders to say, this is how we should do it, or I like this idea, or blah, blah, blah. Or you could just be a support person where anytime somebody says, oh, I don't know how we should do this, you throw out an idea. And usually a group project, for writing at least, requires a one-voice writer, meaning after everything's been said and done, one person goes through and writes it from top to bottom, incorporating everybody's ideas and everybody's parts, but it sounds like it was written by one person, written in one voice. That's your one-voice writing. Teacher-led. This involves a teacher and students composing and editing a text together. That's kind of what we're going to do here. I'm going to be showing you how to write essays before we're done with this. Skills for correct constructive communication. Steps. This is the important part. Steps. Establish a connection with your team. So the first step you need to do is to get to know your team. You should get to know the people with whom you're working. Their strengths, their weaknesses, what they bring to the table. This is where you start to discover whether you're going to be a leader in the group or a follower in the group. Neither one is preferable. I mean, in one project you might be a leader, in the next project you could be a follower. It doesn't have to be who you are all the time, one way or the other. Set up an introductory meeting to set guidelines. Discuss the project, set deadlines, examine the project's details. So guidelines would be, let's say this paper is 4,000 words and there's this many days. So we need to, for the first couple of days, we need planning and research, and the next couple of days we need some drafting and writing, and we need to have 4,000 words written by X day. And by that day, you have all 4,000 words written, and now you can edit it. Now you just pass the paper around and you edit it. Those are your guidelines. Agree on the group's organization. Decide how you want to divide the work, and the member responsible for each task or component. So let's say you're writing a research paper and you've discovered three aspects that you want to research. Let's say it's, because this is an easy one, it's one I've read a bunch, self-driving cars. You have how do self-driving cars work? You have what are they being used for today? You've got are they safe? And you've got will they be the future? Or what's the future of self-driving cars look like? Something like that. Now you've got four people. You just give each one of those topics to each four people, and then they go and they do their own independent research, and then they come back with ideas and things to write about. And then, of course, like I was saying, you could pick somebody to be the one voice writer. Establish the time, place, and length of meetings. Now, okay, so in the workplace, this is very, very necessary. Um, you say, do we physically meet in a conference room, or are we going to do this all through email? Are we going to do it all through Google Docs? Uh, and then are we going to hold specific meetings where we just set aside time, an hour a day, uh, 1 day a week, to just do this? And with the assumption that you, in your free time, you will be working bits and pieces on it. Follow an agreed upon time frame. That time frame, I think, is also part of the guidelines. But yeah, you have to set a timeline of when you're going to get things done. Use a standard reference guide for style, documentation, format. That basically just means decide whether you're going to do MLA format, APA format, Chicago style. Those are the three major ones that people use. Okay, after you follow these steps, identify each member's responsibilities, but allow for individual talents and skills. Don't think one team member is more important than another. That's very important. Everybody's got to feel valued because everybody has value. And everybody brings something different to the table. And if you're not utilizing every person in the group, then you're not using the full potential of that group. Provide clear and precise feedback. Okay, this one's difficult. People, we're conditioned to be polite, so it's can be hard for a lot of people to look someone else in the eye and say you did this wrong. But so you have to come at it assuming that the person knows they messed up, but they don't know how they messed up, and they need you to point out where they did bad punctuation or bad grammar, or they didn't cite something, or the sentence doesn't make any sense. Stuff like that. They need to know that so they can get better. Life is all about getting better, doing things over and over again, and getting better each time you do them. Be an active listener. You can do this by maintaining eye contact, limiting interruptions, repeating instructions, and asking questions if something is unclear. So an active listener. Active listening is a good skill in general for being applied across the board. So a passive listener is somebody who just sits there, going oh yeah, totally, and you're really not sure if they're actually picking up what you're saying. An active listener stops and says, wait, what do you mean? Or, yeah, that's crazy. What about this? Or they say things to let you know. Sometimes they'll take what you said and rephrase it and say it back to you, so that you know that they caught what you were saying, and not only did they catch it, but they actually understood it. Okay, that's the end of that page. Steps in the collaborative process. Effectively articulating your points within a group. Okay, present ideas logically. Don't overwhelm others by delivering many ideas at once. Contribute one thought at a time. So this one, present ideas logically, can be tough when you hit a brainwave, right? Like when something just suddenly occurs to you and you go, wait, I got it. And you say, we were doing it like this, but now we have to do it like that. Like that is like better than this because this is that and that's this and this isn't that and that's this, and it stops making sense right away. So that can be difficult if you're the kind of person who has, big ideas suddenly occur to them, and then they just let their words get ahead of their thoughts. So you got to stop, you got to think, and you got to produce some idea in a clear, concise way. Use specifics and details after communicating the overall idea. Okay, so how about you're with a group and you're not even project-wise, you're just saying, let's go out to dinner, right? Or like, hey, it's 7 o'clock, let's go get dinner. That's not a plan. Let's go get dinner is not a plan. Whose car are we taking? Where are we going? Is sit down or fast food? Are we just eating there, or are we bringing it back to the house? Like, there's so many variables there. Specifics and details really make a plan come together. So if you're, say you're in the group and you've taken kind of a leadership role, you say, okay, go do research. That's not good. Each person has to know which part of it they're researching. Because what if you have 4 ideas, 3 people leave the group and they all researched the same idea? They come back and they've all got self-driving cars and safety, and they've got that three. They get that 3 times. You've got like 9 articles on self-driving cars and safety, and nothing on anything else. Well, now you've wasted a bunch of time, and you're getting down to crunch time, and your paper's only like a third finished. So that's bad. Have confidence. Sure, just have confidence. If you don't have confidence, start having confidence. That one's that one's a little harder to come by. If you don't feel confident, then the best way to really gain that confidence is to read a lot. You'll find if you're an unconfident person and you've done a bunch of research, you go into the group and they start saying things that are wrong, you can politely, speak up and say, actually, what I found was, and then you have all this research to back it up, and you can point it out to them and say, the better way to think of it is this, or something like that. Let's see, how to comment on peer work. Okay, how to be polite is a big part of this. Identify the purpose of the writing. Read the entire paper. Praise the writer for strengths in the writing. There's a thing called a compliment sandwich, where you say something good, something bad, and then something good. And they sort of, if you can imagine, the bread is something good, and then the meat is something bad. So you've got good, bad, good. So you hand me your paper, you say, please read this, and I go, okay, you really understood the material. Your grammar needs some work, but you've got the works cited page done correctly. See, now it doesn't feel like I'm attacking you. Now it seems like I'm just giving you something to improve on while telling you what's good about the paper, so that you don't feel like, oh man, I'm the worst. All I did was mess up. You never want your person that you're reviewing to feel like you're attacking them. Oh look, they even use the word polite. Always be polite and professional. How to incorporate peer feedback. Okay, so the easy thing about incorporating peer feedback is proofreading. When they've shown you your comma placement is bad, or you use the wrong form of there, stuff like that, you just change it. It's that easy. But the harder stuff comes when they give you bigger, broader, like, hey, paragraph 2 feels like it was written for a different paper. It doesn't fit with the other paragraphs. That's a harder one to work with. So then you've got to reread it yourself with the eye of somebody who hasn't read this before, and basically forget what you wrote and then reread it with a fresh perspective and try to see how you can change it. You are the final authority on your paper, unless it's a group process and then everyone's the final authority. That's the drawback of a group process, is anyone can try to veto something somebody else does, and then it turns into a fight. But that's what peer feedback looks like. Let's look at language and grammar checklists. It's just gonna, there we go. Punctuation, spelling, periods, question marks, commas, semicolons. This is a lot of grammar stuff that I'd rather just, once you've written something, you send it to me and I'll talk to you about the grammar, because there's a million ways to mess up and a million ways to get it right. So it's hard to predict what's going to happen in the future, but it's easy to just tell you what's already happened once you've written the paper. How about flashcards? Collaboration is working together, one-on-one, peer review, group, teacher-led, feedback. Oh, that's a new one. Democratic decision-making. Decision-making that occurs as a part of a democracy, process in which there's no overall leader and all groups are allowed to vote when a decision needs to be made. Purpose of a text. Persuade, inform, or entertain. Those are your three main ones. I don't know if there are any others, but there you go. Big three. Okay, that'll do it for now, and I'll see you in 4.3.